it's really I want to just shout out the Shelley Long, like that little monologue that she gives to Christopher Lloyd right before she kind of rediscovers her sadness. She's got that like 3-line sort of speechlet where she talks about how Sam makes her feel, and then like carries that into the bar with her, and that just kind of like comes out, is unleashed when Sam won't look at the painting, and then when she refuses to show him the painting, which only further enrages him. It's really such a I found that to be such an interesting and lovely piece of work. Just the way she kind of carries that sadness with her, and the you can. I think what's really compelling about it is that you can see that she knows it's over, and yet she's gonna try to hold on to it, and that's what makes that last that where she's giving Sam the option to not say goodbye forever. She's playing it like she knows it's over, and yet at the same time she's clinging to it, and it's so beautiful. And again, something you're not going to see later on. It's something they're not going to delve into those characters and let them sort of splash around in this end of the pool, but it's really something to watch.
Agreed.
I don't think they ever get back here again.
From what I recall of like the shallow viewings that I've had of the show in later seasons, it's these first 2 seasons just hit different.
And season 3, that's a good way to put it. It's different because season 3 is a great season. Frasier comes in and immediately works as a character. It's a great the love triangle between them with Sam works really well. I think we're going into a season that we're going to enjoy a lot, but isn't going to hit the way. And I mean, we've been down on a lot of season 2, but maybe that's just the kind of season you had to have to get to this place. And maybe just as the creators, Glenn Charles and Les Charles and Jim Burrows said, all right, this was amazing, but we're not going to get to do this again if we want to stay on the air for 100 episodes. We need to give the audience a little something different. And they did, and the ratings just kept going up. So they might have been right, but I am going to miss being able to have moments like this.
Minus the slap fights, of course.
Yeah. But the emotional depth,
I'm still pining for the cinematography of season 1.
Yeah, me too.
There was so many interesting visual moments in that we haven't. It's funny, like you would think that would become sort of part of the vocabulary of the series, and it just didn't.
And it's funny, it's like so much of season 1 I look back on and I think is so damn perfect, and yet it's the lowest rated episode TV show on network television. So they needed to change some stuff. I mean, as much as they also needed to have people find them, I do think they said, all right, we have to change some stuff. And you can see it keeps changing. It does keep changing.
Did we?
And I think I'll be curious to look at seasons 7 through 11, because I remember at the very least the last 3 to 4 seasons, it didn't change an awful lot until season 11, where, Sam becomes a sex addict, and then things change more significantly. Frasier and Lilith, all that stuff going on, as they know that this is the last season and we need big moments, and we can do anything and there are no repercussions, and we've become the Simpsons.
Feminist icon Lilith Stern and Crane. Love her.
I love Lilith. Oh, God bless you, BB Newirth. All right, we got some categories to knock out here. Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Not that white.
Yeah,
not that white.
I was noticing Sam going into the office. There's
not that white. Did not see as many Asian extras in this episode. I don't think I spotted any, but I spotted several Black people, and I was like, wow, this is diverse for Cheers. So episode 1, part 1, I should say, there was a black man who was sitting at the bar, another black man by the back wall, a black man standing by the piano with people. And then by scene 2, the black man who was standing by the back wall was joined by another woman, and they were talking by Sam's office. And then by the third scene, there was a black man who walked in and was talking with his friend. So that is part 1. And part 2, because there weren't a lot of extras and background and stuff, and it was just Sam and Diane for the most part. At the beginning, when Coach reprises the whole Cheers picnic spiel, there was another black man sitting at the bar and listening in, and he agrees to volunteer. So that's a lot.
I think one of the things that they don't reference in the episode, but it has to be true, is that there's an accounting convention in Boston that week.
Of course. That's where that's where 9 black people came from. Thank you.
That's what brings diversity in.
Yeah.
I've already done my 80s moment of the week. What were your 80s moments of the week?
I mean, obviously Sally, Bert, and Lonnie, Dinah, but I'll go with the mention of TV Guide again. That's always just a touchstone for an 80s child. Remembering that magazine and realizing. I remember realizing at a certain point that it wasn't just a list of what was on TV, but they also had articles. That it was on some level a journalism enterprise, and which also so the joke in this was the 10 cutest TV stars, sitcom stars. It made me realize that Cheers almost never features children, which I kind of like. They never. It's really been so far. It's just been that one episode with Coach and the Little Leaguers, but we almost never see kids in Cheers, which is I don't mind.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Frederick and Lud will make an appearance later on.
Yep,
but very rare. Tookie, your 80s moment.
Yeah. I racked up a good amount.
All right.
For episode 1, it was the mention of fan magazines, because I was just on the tail end of when Teen Bop and Tiger Beat were kind of fizzling out from public consciousness. So fan magazines weren't quite a thing anymore, just as I was starting to come of age. And Cliff, I know a 300 watt bulb does not exist, but the mention of a wattage of a bulb, I was like, wow, that's not a thing we do anymore. It was still, watt bulbs, incandescent bulbs were still very much a thing. Yeah. But it's something that we nowadays don't even think about, because pretty much everything is LED. Everything that was incandescent, and even those bulbs with the CFL, is that what they were? CFL bulbs with the mercury, and people were like, don't break them. Those are so far from our consciousness at this point. So I was like, wow, that's a moment. That's definitely a moment. And then for episode 2, that's where I racked up the most, where Coach is kind of recapping the previous episode. And he said that he was explaining that Semenko thought there was something special about Diane's puss, which I know means face, but I haven't heard the face called a puss in God knows. So that felt very of a different time. Cliff calling every artist, quote, light in the loafers, a turn of phrase that is not often heard in this day and age. Carla mentions an exploding gag pizza. I feel like exploding gag gifts were by the time I was a kid and buying gag gifts, no one had the exploding cigars or the exploding whatever. There's still those candles you can't blow out, but the exploding stuff feels like something from a time.
I don't think those existed past the 50s. I think they were just referenced a lot.
Yeah.
I never saw any kind of exploding toy.
It was really just Jokey Smurf was the...
Yeah. The velvet painting with Diane posed a la glamour shots. Very 80s moment. Very, very. And then when Philip Semenko calls Sam Mortimer, and in my mind I had questions of, does he mean Bob Mortimer? who is like an artist of some sort, or a performer of some sort. I think I briefly Googled it, but I didn't retain the information. Or does he mean Mortimer Mouse, like the cartoon?
That's where I went.
Yeah.
That was what I assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like that.
Because
That's
he had already called him Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a
So I assumed
perfect
that, but that
insult for
doesn't-
Sam Malone.
yeah.
Like calling Sam Malone Bullwinkle is a
Yeah.
perfect insult.
Yep.
Yeah.
His resemblance.
Well, shit.
My
So yeah,
AirPods are not perfect.
I racked up a ton of just these references, just these moments that were like, I haven't thought about that in ever, or I didn't quite maybe understand that reference.
Mhm. All right, the Sam creepy quotient. I almost don't even want to do it this week. There's so much going on.
I feel
Like there's so much I'm uncomfortable with Sam, but there's also so much of Sam getting hurt that I almost don't want to rate him this week. I kind of want to, but if we feel like we must, we must.
it would have been no for this week. It would have been no. But I hate to keep referencing the slap fight, but the thing is that even though Diane sort of initiated the violence, Sam could have chosen not to respond with violence.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And that's why he's at a 14 this week.
Fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I one of the things that I also appreciated about this episode and didn't like necessarily, but really appreciated, and John Ryman mentioned this again, really kind of pointing out Sam's competitiveness. That's so on display in this episode, and like I think the slap fight, while incredibly disturbing and wrong, is like the way he's playing it is one more evocation of that competitiveness. Like he's not going to let her one up him. Like he can't let her. And that's what's so frustrating about Diane is he even says like, you always have to have the last word. Like you could just see that their destruction is kind of like already etched on their faces. So yeah, his creepy quotient has to be high, but it's because of stuff that they've built into that character. It's it's all organic to who Sam Malone is, and it's not just his womanizing, but it's that need for competition. It's that need to be victorious.
I've got bonus category this week though, for a Boston moment. Boston moments definitely, happened in part 1 of this episode, which two Boston moments that I pointed out. Which one, Coach mentioning how he once owned Old North Church.
That was another contender for joke of the week.
Yeah. And 2, again, not condoning it, but I was like, wow, this just feels so Boston when it happened. Cliff being casually racist about Philip Semenko's poncho and calling him Chief and Little Beaver. And Sam kind of chimes in with calling him Tonto.
So,
yeah. I was like, man, I love that dirty water. So, Boston moments. Felt accurate.
Very good. All right, I'll be seeing you. Let's put it in the books. That was quite a 2-part episode of television to wrap up season 2 of Cheers. Woo! That was something that season. My goodness.
It's a roller coaster.
And then I think we're taking a week off before we delve into season 3. Was that the plan?
I believe so, because I will be on Massachusetts' own Cape Cod.
Woo!
Nice. You're going after school starts?
We're going as school starts, which wasn't necessarily our intention, but just kind of how everything kind of played out. So my daughter will actually be traveling back midweek to attend her first day of school on Wednesday.
Lovely.
And will then be ferried back to Cape Cod immediately afterwards.
Wow.
So we're already, if you're watching this, faculty and staff of the Moses Brown School in Providence, Rhode Island, she's sick.
That is actually how we always did our Disney vacations. We would go the week after Christmas vacation ended. because
smart.
it was the slowest time at Disney. Yeah. But now as he's
Mm.
getting older, I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If we go to Disney again, ever. But that was actually the last thing we did before the lockdown started. Was we were on vacation at Disneyland, and we were starting to hear whispers about this virus in China, and we said that's not going to be anything. Surprise!
And here we are.
Oh man.
Yep. But you know, when he was in kindergarten, first grade, like who cares about missing a week? What are you missing? But you know, third grade, fourth grade, well, suddenly we're missing like multiplication tables and long division, and that's a little harder to catch up from. So I don't know what we're going to be doing, but we'll see. Assuming
Well, safe
school is still a
travels
thing.
and Godspeed.
Thank you. Well, it wouldn't be until January again, and I don't know that it's going to happen, but we will see. We will see. And our LA friends are all leaving LA. My connection to LA is becoming incredibly tenuous. My friends Julie and Chip that we always stay with are selling their house. Our friends Joe and Amy that we were visiting are selling their house and moving to Palm Springs.
Ooh.
Which is like, it's still LA adjacent, but very far. It's still 2 hours away. So yeah. So it's almost like I know very few people in LA now. A few of my casino friends and a couple of comics, and that's kind of it.
It's LA though.
Yeah.
Austin's where it's at.
I almost moved to Austin when I left LA. I think I mentioned that. I looked into it very briefly, and then I said, I don't think I've got the energy to start over fresh again quite this fast. Let me go home.
That's a fun city, though.
Austin is a very fun city. One of the hottest places I've ever been in my life. I was in Austin for a week in July.
Oh, that's where you found
Yeah.
This is not now. Yeah, this is 20 years ago, but it was hot. The only hotter place I've ever been was Western Oregon. The same year, actually. That is the hottest I've ever been. Have I told this story?
No.
I think so.
It hit 117 degrees.
Ooh.
Yo.
Where we were. No one realizes that everyone, when they think of Oregon, they think of Portland and the coast and green. Like when you're off the coast, it is a big desert and it gets hot. And it was the hottest I've ever been. And we went to see Batman and Robin, the George Clooney Batman movie.
With the bat nipples?
With the bat nipples just poking out all over the place. Yes. One of the worst movies we've ever seen. It was terrible. I hated it. And we just kept talking about whether or not we should leave. And it was so hot outside, we just decided the heat was just barely worse than the George Clooney Batman movie. And we stayed in the movie theater.
Incredible.
The hottest I've ever felt in my life that week in Oregon. Because as hot as Austin felt, Oregon was worse. It was unbearable.
You know that's a bit, Mike, right?
I'll jot it down. I guess I need to write jokes again sometime soon.
What's more unbearable, bat nipples or 117 degree heat?
I've been wondering if those movies are better than I remember them. I want to reinvestigate the Schumacher Batmans. Nope. Just
worse. They are worse. I've gone back and looked at them both. They have not aged well. There's none of the fun, like let's create a fun world where everyone's having a good time, like the Adam West Batman series did. Like the old Super Friends where you can go back and watch them and still kind of enjoy them in that campy way. These were cynical, awful, unclever money grabs. They were absolutely terrible. They were made by people who did not care about Batman. They were 2-hour commercials that did not understand at all why the Adam West Batman worked. Because you could feel them trying to leave some of the Tim Burton darkness behind, which I get. I understand that. I didn't necessarily think that the Tim Burton Batman movies were the pinnacle of superhero films. I liked the first Batman one, but I also thought it was flawed. But you could just feel them going, no, we want something more fun, like the old TV show. Can't we do something kind of like that? And they didn't know why that show worked. And they just plucked a few things from it and tried to do that. You could just tell the screenwriter when they were writing Batman Forever in some ways is worse than Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin is overtly terrible. But at the very least, the characters were like, all right, that's Dr. Freeze. I mean, it's badly done, Dr. Freeze, but it's Dr. Freeze. That's Poison Ivy. I get what they were trying to do. They just did it badly. You look at Batman Forever, and the Two-Face is just Tommy Lee Jones, who I love as an actor, trying to do the Joker. Like the screenwriter, I don't think understood who the character was. Tommy Lee Jones didn't look into it at all. You could tell he hated every day that he was on the set.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you
Jim
can feel
Carrey talks about how
distaste.
much. Yeah, Jim Carrey talks about how much Tommy Lee Jones hated him.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jim Carrey kind of gets the Riddler, but he's doing his own movie where he doesn't seem to be connecting to anyone else in the movie, which is one of the biggest problems. He sort of understands the Riddler, but there's no connection with him and Batman. Which there has to be. There's that weird connection between him and Bruce Wayne, but there's nothing going on with him and Batman. And Val Kilmer, who I like as an actor, his Batman's not connected to anybody. Like his Batman's not doing anything. His Bruce Wayne is wallpaper. There's nothing going on. Michael Keaton, for whatever you thought of him, his Bruce Wayne there was something going on there.
Oh,
and George Clooney at least was like, I'm the playboy. Like George Clooney at least knew what he was trying to do. Val Kilmer didn't do anything.
Damn.
Yeah, those are terrible movies. I would very much appreciate you watching them, and if you've got a different take on them, I'm happy to hear it and hear why that might be incorrect. But I think the only superhero movies that make me madder than those two are Man of Steel. That's the only one that makes me angrier. That's the one where I start throwing shit.
Oh, well, I'm a lover of all things like weird and kitschy and campy and maybe slightly homoerotic. But if these films are cynical, then that's a bummer.
They're cynical. That is the perfect word for them. They are very cynical because part of fun camp is there's a purity to it. If that's the right word for it. It's a desire to have fun and put joy out there, which is what is so great about the campiness of the original series. And the underrated acting work going on by everyone in that, how Adam West is committed to that character. He knows exactly who it is. He gets that he's doing a comedy, but his characters are not in a comedy, which is one of the reasons he's such a terrific comic actor. He got that it was a comedy, but the characters could not in any way think that something funny was going on. And that's what made it all work. And all the villains were having a great time and they were on the same page and the writers got it. And it looked good. It was just great. It was great.
Yeah, the Chris O'Donnell factor is a tough thing to get past in Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
because he's self-aware, but in an entirely less playful way. Like it's almost meta to the extent where he's like, well, I know I'm handsome. I know that's what this movie wants from me, and therefore I will just sort of be handsome.
That's annoying. That's so annoying.
That's the vibe.
But they didn't write much else for him to do.
No, absolutely.
You know, it's not like I'm like, boy, if you had given DiCaprio that role, he would have knocked it out of the park. It's like, no, everyone's bad.
I don't want to see DiCaprio in tights.
No. Oh, those movies were awful. All right, do you guys have anything to plug this week?
Not a thing.
Oh God, what am I doing this week? I will be at the Lily Pad opening for someone visiting from New York. Molly, oh God, I'm blanking on her name. Lily Pad in Cambridge, Mass. this Saturday.
Nice. I am assuming this still happens, that everything gets shut down at a moment's notice. I am supposed to be at Democracy Brewing in
Yay.
Boston on Saturday night at 8. So come on out. We'll have fun. I forgot to plug. I was at the Cambridge Comedy Club this past Saturday, which was also fun. But yeah, you can get tickets for that. Go to, what is it, Comedy Party?
Comedyparty.com. Yeah.
Go to comedyparty.com and you can buy tickets for that. Dave, you got anything going on?
Not a thing, Mike. Just gearing up for vacation.
That is a thing in and of itself. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
If you're
And this
if you're
is
in
our week
Orleans,
of
if you're in Orleans, Mass, come swing by Nauset Beach. I'll be there sitting.
this is our week of vacation that ended up going to hell. So we're just doing day trips. So we're just
Yeah.
figuring out. I need yeah, if anyone watches this, I want really good golf mini golf suggestions, because we've been going to places and they've been kind of disappointing. I feel like somewhere in New England has got to be just a ridiculously great mini golf course, and I want to go to it and I want to play it. So if anyone has great mini golf suggestions, please hit me up, because we're looking for something fun. There you go. All right. That is, I'll be seeing you, and we will be seeing you. We're going to take a week off, and we will be back the second week of September, entering season 3. Welcome, Fraser Crane. Lot going on. We're going to break it down. And by we, I mean Dave Rabinow, Tookie Kavanaugh, myself, Mike Dorval. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.